Hello, welcome back to the channel. It is not quite Christmas yet when I'm filming this, but by the time you're watching this, I hope you've had a good Christmas, you've spent time with your family, and you're all well. So in this episode, obviously I am off between Christmas and the New Year, and I did say after last year when I was off between Christmas and the New Year that I wouldn't do it again. I would come in for a couple of days just because I'm not really wanting to stay at home and sort of not do much, but I had the holidays to take, so here we are. So this is one of two videos that I'll try and get out between Christmas and the New Year to keep a bit of continuity. I'm going to answer some of your questions that you have put to me. So the first question that I got asked was, who pays for all the extra or all the lights on the van? So as you can see, I do like my lights. We've got 4 work lights on the back and a beacon, and we've got the light bar. So 2 of the work lights are supplied by Gordon's and the beacon supplied by Gordon's. The work lights on the side, I've added to them just to kind of finish it off, and the light bar is a light bar that is my own. There's none down the side yet, although I would like a nice little corner bar on each side, but there's question marks about whether I'll hang them or not. All the other little decorative lights on the front and these high beam lights that I've got in the grille, they're all paid for by myself. It's not something that you have to do. If you work for us, you're not encouraged to put lights all over your van. The majority of us do because we do. But yeah, there's a couple of vans on the fleet that is just 2 work lights and a beacon, and that's the lot. So yeah, it is out of my pocket. Don't really mind because it's a personal thing. Personalise the van. It's yours for the duration of however long the company keeps it for. And it's just nice to be a bit different, isn't it? So yeah, with regards to everything else, who owns what on the van, all the tools on the back of the van are mine. The special tools like the diagnostic equipment, the pressure gauges, what else is there? That's pretty much it. Everything else, the compressor, toolboxes, they're all mine. So I buy the tools to do the job. I can't think of many other trades where you'd need as many tools to do the job. I know it's been said in some of the previous comments that some folk seem to be more in the States maybe, where tools are bought for you or you get a tool allowance. But I've never known any different. Now I was very lucky when I started as an apprentice at the first place that I worked for. To get me set off, they bought me a toolbox and £400 worth of tools, the majority of which I've still got in that toolbox, and they gave me a really good leg up in that respect. But I've never worked anywhere else, not that I've worked at many places to be fair, where they have done that for the apprentices. So the next question is, bear with me, do you plan to stay doing what you're doing, or would you like to move into something different at some point? At the moment, I'm happy doing what I'm doing. There's not at the moment a big drive for me to move up the career ladder for the time being. I feel like I've still got a lot to learn and a lot of experience to gain doing this job. And I think service management, you do need a little bit more of a firmer kind of attitude towards things, because the wrong person would easily get pushed around a bit, and customers might phone up and say, I'm not paying that bill, it's too expensive, and you've got to say, well no, this is why it's this, and so on and so forth. So yeah, in that respect, I'm quite happy doing what I'm doing. I've got a little bit of best of both worlds. I'm sort of managing my own workloads, organising my parts for the jobs, I'm organising my jobs, and at the moment that's ticking all the boxes for me. and so I've got a bit more control of my day-to-day comings and goings. So yeah, at the moment I'm quite happy doing what I'm doing, but I would eventually like to move up the ladder, and I couldn't see myself moving into another sector or doing a completely different job. I just wouldn't know what to do really. This is all I've ever really known since I left school is working on diggers and tractors and forklifts and things like that. So another question, which is another career-based question. Do you think you'll ever go and work for yourself? Are you happy to continue working for Devellon Gordons? No. I don't have that drive at the moment to buy my own van and go out and look for work. They do say a good mechanic is never quiet, and it's not so much that. I don't think the job would change that much, because like I mentioned in the previous question, I am organising my own jobs parts and organising my work schedule. It's more when I finish at 5 o'clock, I can go home, switch the phone off, have tea with my family, put the kids to bed, enjoy my evening, and wake up and go to work the next day. I'm not going home and doing invoices and chasing people for money, and it's that side of things that puts me off being self-employed. And also with the way technology is moving now with machines, plug-on diagnostics is almost essential nowadays, to be able to diagnose a machine correctly, and with that you need licenses that are only provided to the dealer. You can get JAL test laptops. I'm not too clued up on them because I've never had to look into them, but I believe they're very expensive, and you've got to make that pay. That's just my personal opinion. I've known lads that have left and gone and worked for themselves, and there was no looking back. I've known other lads that went and worked for themselves and they're back working for dealers again. So I've seen both sides of the coin, and for me personally, I'm quite happy getting everything paid for. At the end of the day, if my phone doesn't ring, then I'm still getting a wage at the end of the day. So it's one of them. Okay. Oh, this is a good one. If you had to work on a different brand other than Devellon, what would you go for? Personally, I've always liked the look aesthetically of a Volvo. I think they're a real smart looking machine. They seem to have a good product range, and from what I've heard from folk that have worked on the service side for Volvo, they seem to have good backup as well. So perhaps Volvo would be something that I would consider. But yeah, I've never really given it a thought. I've only ever really known Daewoo, Doosan and Devellon, and that gives you a really good foundation for working day to day, because you've got that foundation. When you go to a machine, generally you've known how the previous machine has worked, and it's similar if not the same on the newer machine, so you've already got that foundation. And I think if I was to, for whatever reason, jump out of this van and into a Volvo van, a Cat van, JCB van, I think I would really struggle for a good 18 months just getting used to their systems and the way their things work, because although it's a digger and it digs a hole, the way different manufacturers make those machines dig a hole can be completely different. So yeah, that is probably, if I had to, if Gordon's wound everything up and there was a job available at Volvo, that's probably the direction I would go to. But quite happy being orange at the moment. Next question. Why are mini diggers popular on roadwork jobs over multi-tool JCB 4CX, 3CX? I think you see more mini diggers, like the utility lads that are digging up pavements. You've got the 2-ton mini digger. They can put that on the back of the van and tow it to the next job really quickly. They don't have to organise transport. They can put that down the motorway. Whereas moving a JCB 3CX, yes, you can drive it on the roads, but I think they max out now at 50k, I think. So 30 mile an hour between jobs. I would imagine it'll take them longer to get to the next job. There'll also be the price as well. 2-ton machine, new. You'd be talking early to mid 30s, and I wouldn't even know what a new 3CX is, but I bet you wouldn't get much change out of 100 grand. But then a 3CX isn't really comparable to a 2-tonner. It's probably more comparable to a 6-tonner, I think I'm right in saying, 6 to 8 ton, that kind of range. But with a 360 digger, if you're digging up the road and loading a lorry behind you, you can dig and then swing all the way around and put that in the back of a wagon. Whereas a 3CX, you've got to put it to the side, I guess. And you put it on the back of a wagon and shift it. I think the benefits of a tracked machine far outweigh a wheeled machine, personally, my opinion. And that's why we don't see that many wheeled machines in the UK. I know in Scandinavia and Europe, wheeled machine is very popular. In fact, if I remember this rightly, from the training course that I did in the summer, or last summer maybe, the UK is the biggest consumer of conventional 140s. So the 140 with the counterweight that swings out, the UK is the biggest customer for those. In Europe and abroad, it's wheeled machines and it's zero tail swings. So I remember for a time we couldn't get hold of the DX235s because there was a big customer in Germany had bought up a lot of the European stock. So we struggled to get hold of DX235s for a while. True story. Right, next question. So the next question is, do you do oil samples on every service, or is it just if the customer requests? The answer to that is we do them for every machine that is covered under warranty now. That is something that we've just started doing. And beforehand it was on a more of a request basis. So I didn't realise, and this is my fault, but HQ were doing oil sampling about 9 months ago. And it was only when I needed to take a fuel sample that they were like, oh, well, you've not got sampling pots down there. I was like, no. So I never got that memo. So yeah, it is something that we're encouraged to do now. So those sample kits are class sample kits, but I believe there's only 1 or 2 labs in the UK that sample oils, and believe it or not, where that oil goes to get sampled is Finnins. So we just sample it so that we've got a record of it. I don't know yet if we sent a final drive oil away to be sampled and it came back as excessive buildup of metallic particles. I would imagine we would then go and look into that, strip the final drive down and see what's happening. Same with any oil, I suppose. So it's just that sort of next level of service that we provide. So yeah, it is now mandatory, I suppose, on all machines covered whilst they're under warranty. So next question, where or who did you serve your time with as an apprentice? So while I was an apprentice, I had 2 jobs. I worked at 2 places. So when I left school, or before I left school, I'll tell you a brief history. Before I left school, there was a construction skills assembly, and anybody that wanted to get a trade for when they left, they kind of helped you put your CV together, did a bit of sort of site training, so to speak. And believe it or not, I wanted to be a joiner before I left school. And and CITV, I think they were called, they got me a job interview with an access platform hire company, and they said, we know it's not joinery, but if you want to go and sit the interview, it'll give you a good bit of experience in the interview setting. So I went along and did that, and a day later the manager phoned me and said, we'd like to offer you the job. And I thought, oh right, okay then. And that was where I started my sort of working career, working on access platforms, a hire company. And that was great. Like I say, they got me the toolbox and everything of that, and it was quite a variety of work because there was truck mounted access platforms, there was the self propelled ones, there was the electric scissor lifts, and there was also these van mounted ones, and obviously the base of the van would get to 5 or 6 years old, but the platform part would still be in good condition, so we'd take it off, shot blast it, repaint it, rewire it, repipe it, and then fit it to a new chassis. So that was quite good work. I really enjoyed it. I think I was there about a year to 18 months, but unfortunately the company went into receivership, and part of your college course is you need to do practical assessments and things like that, and it just got to the point where there was no practical work. So I think I sat my driving theory test and passed that in the morning, went home, and this was back when we had yellow pages. So any of you young ones what don't know what yellow pages are, basically I went into the yellow pages and looked up plant hire firms, and I got in touch with the local New Holland dealership and phoned them, and I said, I'm an apprentice, I'm not out of work, but I could do with a job. And they invited us in that afternoon, and I had a sit down with them and the service manager. So the course that I was on was a plant and small tools course, and these guys were a New Holland dealership. They also had the Manitou agency, they had Bobcat, New Holland Construction, and Doosan. Yeah, Daewoo had just been phased out, I think. And so I started there as an apprentice plant mechanic, and so that's where I served my time. I was there for 8 years, nearly 9, and then Gordon's got the Doosan agency, and of the products that I work with there, I found the Doosan product the easiest to work on. I suppose I would have had more experience with those machines as well, but I found them service friendly, and I found the support from Doosan to be good. If you're stuck with something, it was easy to get more information, so that's why I kind of moved across to Gordon's. Right, next question. If you could spec your own van and money was no object, what would it be? Right, so I really like the look of those MAN TGE 180 4x4s. So it's big chunky tyres, it's got a bit of a lift kit to it, some chunky novelty tyres on it, or semi-road, semi-off-road sort of a deal. That would tick the boxes for me. However, I really like the look of those service trucks that they have over in America. You know, like I'm talking like one of those Kenworths with the big crane on the back and the roller shutter doors. That'd be pretty cool. I have often wondered sort of, you know, would it be pretty neat to have like a 7.5 ton wagon with a high-ab, and then a bit of a half a box at the back of it to kind of work in, like I've got a bit of an indoor workshop here. That'd be pretty good, but obviously you'd be restricted by your driving hours and stuff like that. But no, that'd be really good, like a truck. I'm a trucker. I have often thought as well, maybe a Toyota Hilux with a different body on the back, like a service body on the back. I've often thought that'd be quite handy, because a lot of the time in the back of the van carry oils and things like that. Don't really need to carry that sort of stuff. Same with filters and things like that. Don't really need to carry it. If you're going to a service, generally you'll know about it beforehand and you'll gather the parts up that you need before you go to it. So don't really need to be carrying it around. It's just more of a just in case kind of measure, carrying engine oil and hydraulic oils, gear oils, things like that, just in case you have an oil leak on the machine. You can top fluids up. But yeah, that'd be pretty good. I've often thought about it. The only drawback to having a Hilux with a bit of a low bed and a service canopy type of thing is when the weather is miserable, you've got nowhere to hide. And I like to keep the driving area nice and clean and tidy, so it just wouldn't be an option if I was out servicing in the woods and it came down with rain. It just wouldn't be an option to me without taking all my mucky stuff off to get into the driver's seat and just sit and wait for the rain to pass. Whereas if it rains that bad, I can just jump into the back of here and watch it go past and then go back out and crack on. So yeah, that would be the biggest drawback for me. But yeah, hope that answers your question. Right, last question. What is your favourite Doosan / Devellon product to work on? I generally... I like the loading shovels. I think the loading shovels are a lovely machine to sit on, to work on. Service-wise, the 420s are really nice now. They are a fantastic machine just to service. So loading shovel, that's a nice job. Excavator-wise, I'd probably say 225 or 210. It's a nice size. It's not too compact. Sometimes in the 140s, especially the 140 tail swings, things are a little bit too compact and you can't get your spanners in, things like that. And then you get up to the 300s and above, and you just need massive tools and massive arms to be able to lift stuff. So I would say 225 is probably the most service friendly from my perspective, given that I'm about 70 kilos wet through. So yeah, and that's grand that suits the area that I work in as well, because the majority of the biggest machine that I regularly look after is a DX300, isn't it? And then loading shovels after that. So yeah, that is what I would say. So that sort of sums up the questions that you've asked me. I really appreciate you putting those questions to me. In the next video, what I'm going to try and do is hunt out some footage. I've not done this before, and I'll do a video of the best job I've done this year and the worst job I've done this year, and I'll try and sort of narrate it now that I know what I know, if you know what I mean. And I'll try and put that into the background. I have had to, just recently, which is stupid, I have had to have a good clear out on my phone to get a bit more storage for these videos. So I'm not too sure how far back this year I'll be able to go, but I might be able to pull some clips off YouTube, because surely they can't copyright my own material. So yeah, you can look forward to that in the next video, my best and worst jobs of the year to date. Okay, thanks very much for watching. Hope you're all well, and if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, and if you haven't already, I'd really appreciate if you hit the subscribe button too. Thanks very much, we'll see you in the next one.